This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trend in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Judith Mancini Today is sponsored by Basic Brands, Inc., providing the highest quality specialty products in the natural food industry. Visit basicbrandsinc.com and enter JMT15 for your 15% discount on your first order, including their best-selling vitamin E ointment, which helps restore moisture and elasticity to your skin. Good day, everyone. I'm Judith Mancini, the host of Judith Mancini Today. Isn't that clever? Okay, well, the first thing I want to say is our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in Florida during this terrible, terrible time of this hurricane and the devastation it has left in its path. The latest is it was downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's back up to a category hurricane. I'm not sure what category it is now. I hope it's only 1 or 2, but it is going up, and as it starts to hit South Carolina, it is going to be a full-blown hurricane again. I was just watching some videos of it, and the devastation is absolutely horrible. So what I want to remind everybody is there is no way some of these people in Florida could have saved their property or prepared more than they did by evacuating. What I want you to do, though, is always have a to-go bag ready to pick up and not have to think about what you need to put in it. Copy your important papers and put a copy of the papers in your go bag. Then also put an extra supply of your prescription drugs, maybe your supplements, because you don't know how long you're going to be gone or what food's going to be available. Take some water, at least a bottle, in that go bag. Hopefully you'll be able to take more with you. But you should have a go bag with some sanitary things, maybe a roll of toilet paper, some wipes, some hand sanitizer, other things that you might need because you may be having to live in an auditorium of a high school or someplace else and won't be able to get to your relatives or friends in time. And don't wait for the last minute to go, because on these evacuation routes, even in California and places where they have tornadoes, they have evacuation routes that are the best way to leave your area and go. But if you don't have your car filled up with gas, and you don't have a bus to climb onto, and you don't have a friend's house to run across the street because they're going to be devastated too, you must have your car filled with gas because they run out of gas. Now, it's not the gas station's fault that they run out of gas or the price of gas is where it is. It's not the oil company's fault. So let's get off that track right now. Prepare yourself. No price gouging, but if you can, put that plywood up on your windows and all, and hopefully it will help save your property. But I've seen pictures where everything is leveled, just like in a horrible tornado or a horrible earthquake. So get that go bag ready, and we're going to hope that these people have the help, the prayers, and the survival things they need, because now is the time where they're going to be going around house to house to see if people stayed when they shouldn't have. And they're afraid that the Excuse me, I'm sorry. It just gets to me. They're afraid that the death rate is going to go up. So let's say a prayer for them and keep them in our thoughts. Okay, so I've been telling you, oh, one more thing I do need to apologize. We did a rerun of the wonderful lady, BJ Pryor, who wrote the book of Vietnam vets' stories. We had to do a rerun of that last week because I had been without internet, and I have called Spectrum. They've been out here. They've looked at everything. I don't know what it is. I'm the only one around the whole area that is having problems with the internet, and it's off and on all the time. Last week, it was totally off. I didn't have anywhere I could go to do the show. It's just a terrible thing. So if we happen to go off air today, we will let you know next week what happened, but it will be because we have an internet problem on my end, not in the studio with my great engineer and station. So I apologize for that for last week. I've been saying for the last few weeks that I'm starting a new website and blog for all of us who are aging, and that's us. Most of my audience is 50 plus, and there are a lot of people that are older than that and are facing the time of life when we are thinking, how many more years can I eke out? So we are happy to be here. And yes, I share my age with everybody. I'm 75 and I'm living a great, fulfilled life. I want you to do that too. So I am creating this website where you can go on and find out all sorts of tips and helpful things to make your life full of fun and financial success and protection and just all sorts of things, your health particularly, because that is my background with my publishing company. And I did have the largest alternative health magazine in the country, 1.7 million circulation. So I know a thing or two about staying healthy. Maybe you don't think I look healthy. I am healthy though. And I think that everybody would like to look their age or a few years younger. I don't think anybody wants to look older than their age. I saw a picture of a man who was, I think, 127. I saw him on the internet or Facebook or something. And oh my goodness, I think it was a man. I'm not sure. At 107, I don't know that he had any family around or anything, but he was just a shriveled up little prune. And I don't know if his mind was still sharp or he talked or whatever. They just showed this picture of him. Well, there's things out there now that you can keep your face from shriveling up. And your diet and health is number one on that list. So today we're going to talk about those golden years turning into golden fears. And this is just going to be an overview of what the website will be like if I can find the time to do it. And I'm being honest because my life is very full with grandchildren and my daughter, and having lost my son. My husband is here and I love having him home, but everybody needs something to do, and he helps me a lot. He listens to my show every week and tells me if I'm making any sense or not making any sense. I want him to sort of turn into my manager and help me out with these things. But he has his own interests, so we'll see what happens. So what I want to know is, have your golden years turned into golden fears? What happened to those golden dreams of the golden years? You know, it's a world full of frustration and fear in our lives right now. And I'm here to help you realize that those golden dreams can still come true. There's been many books written on aging, and a lot of them deal with health, a lot of them deal with thought, spirituality. I want to try to cover a lot of things because I feel they're all intertwined. let me tell you that with our aging, we have a lot on our minds. You may be in your 50s and ending a career, thinking about a little early retirement. You may still have children in school. I know women are having babies a lot older. And so some of them who've waited until 40s, when you start your 50s, your child will be 10. And you need a lot of energy. Believe me, I just spent vacation, my husband and I did, with our grandchildren and my daughter and her wonderful husband. And we have an 8 and a 4-year-old. And if you don't think you need energy to be snorkeling and swimming in the ocean with these kids and running around and wondering what they're going to do after dinner before they go to bed, well, we don't know, because we went to bed at 7 and they went to bed at 9. Yes, that's true. We had a wonderful vacation. If we have enough time, I'll tell you about that vacation, because that's part of our plan, growing older, where we went. So there's a lot of things, one I think, that really adds to your aging process and is difficult to deal with is stress. And the reason I'm bringing this up today, and I had no plans to do it, but there's a lot going on in our country right now. And now with this hurricane, it's added to our stress of a country divided, a country in upheaval, uh, shortages of food chain supply now. The gasoline for your cars is going up. It's a fact of life that not everybody in this country can go spend $60,000 to $120,000 to get an electric vehicle. And that's a whole nother subject. But the lack of having electric vehicles did not cause this hurricane. Now we know, I'd like to know what did start hurricanes many years ago, because this isn't the first one. At any rate, let's move on from there. Um, what I want to do for you is have you explore where you are along the road of life. There's no secret that we're privileged to have reached this age, and many people don't. They unfortunately have not found a cure for cancer and some other devastating diseases. So we are privileged and blessed to be able to grow older. So stop complaining about growing older if you're in good health, and get out there and live. And even if you have done something, I believe that mental acuity and a positive mindset helps you through many diseases. But I'm not here to talk about the diseases right now, because we will talk about that. There's no argument that COVID did not take many lives, and what a shame that is. But we need to think about the living now. And we need to think about how we're going to treat people if the next pandemic comes. And I'm one who says we should not be locked down, because I've seen too much mental illness from these people being isolated. And there's enough mental illness amongst young people that were not in school, teenagers. It's on the rise. And look at our soldiers, our people in the armed forces. It's devastating how many are committing suicide every day. And I be the first to tell you, my son took his own life, and he was 48. So this is an epidemic. If we have any epidemics, suicide is one of them. That's why I say if you're growing older, you need to have a plan. Now, many of you do have financial plans in place. You have insurance, you have good health, you have children, you have an active social life, but not everybody is like that. And many people have been hit with the pandemic of not having a jobs. And yes, we can talk about the stimulus checks and everything else, but There are jobs out there, and many of the companies like McDonald's, I saw a sign the other day saying they were hiring, and I think they start at something like $15 and go up to 21 or something. That's a good wage. But here's the problem. We have inflation now. Now, if you're in good financial shape, maybe you have a bank account that is way up there and you have some investments that haven't slid way down there on the stock market. But if you are the majority of the people in the United States, you don't have those things. So I would suggest, even if you don't want to go flip a burger, there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's or a Starbucks or an In-N-Out or a Walmart or someplace that's paying this much money. Transportation may be a problem for you, but see if you could carpool if you get the job. See if it's within walking distance. Our country is suffering from an obesity epidemic. And you know why? We're not like Europe or Mexico or South America or Central America. We drive everywhere, and I'm guilty. But that's because we're spread out and we don't have the proper public transportation. We don't carpool. If you get on the freeways, that's what we call the roads out here in California, you will see one person in the car going to their jobs. Well, that's because we're such a spread out metropolis. It's 30 miles to your job. So not everybody's going the same place, but you could form a carpool from work to see if you're not in special areas. I know by us now, there are some public parking lots where you can jump on mass transit or pick up your carpool, and you can leave your car there all day for nothing. Some of these places are owned by private people, and then you do have to pay a little bit. But there's these alternative ways of getting around one person in a car. Can you imagine how much that would cut back on the exhaust that's going out and how it would drop your fuel bill? Yesterday, I filled my car up and I have, I believe, 14 or 15 gallons to my tank. And I put 12 gallons in, and it cost me $89. $89. Now, because you're semi-retired, I don't drive to the office. I've been working from home. So I'm fortunate. I don't have children to take to school. But this is another one of our problems. Our schools are spread out and the kids can't walk to school, or they're so afraid, the parents are so afraid now that some idiot will come by in a car and shoot them that they won't let them walk to school. Well, crime in our country is a whole nother subject too, and that adds to the stress in our lives. I do think there's a lot of mental illness, and the stress is one of the biggest contributors to it. Loneliness, having a feeling of nobody needing you. Everybody needs you. You can contribute and you can be happier if you do. Remember that person across your apartment complex? They live all by themselves. When you take a walk, and I mean walk around your complex, walk over to the coffee shop, whatever, why don't you strike up a conversation with them? Because they're probably just as lonely as you are. And that would definitely help a lot of people. What I want to say is, if you are diagnosed with depression, do yourself a favor. Get 3 people to diagnose you. I'm talking about therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health experts. There are plenty of them that you can go to, like family services will help connect you with a therapist, and you can talk to them. And whether you pay on a graduated scale or you pay nothing, they will help you out with that. And there's many, many of those. You can just Google it or Chrome it and whatever you do on your search engines. and find some help. But you want to get 3 diagnoses because you don't want a doctor prescribing antidepressants and all of a sudden you feel like this antidepressant isn't helping you, or maybe it's making you feel too high because it's the wrong dosage. You don't want that to happen. And too many people now are on these antidepressants when they probably shouldn't be. They should be talking to someone simultaneously instead of just going home and popping these pills. Try a natural product, a natural supplement. Remember, always get your doctor's advice. I'm not advising what you should take. I'm just telling you, check into natural supplements like ashwagandha, something like that. You can go into a health food store, they can tell you what they are, but talk to your physicians and see what's best for you. Okay, let's move on from that. It's just one of my things right now that I think we should deal with. Did you know that our generation, the baby boomers, are now dealing with like 5 different generations in our lives because we're living so long? We still have some World War II and Korean vets out there. Many of the World War II are in their late 90s now, early 100s, and they're still going strong in their mind, and they appreciate you telling them thank you for your service in keeping our country free. So let's cherish them. But then we're living with our baby boomer generation is now living with our kids' generation. But we had a generation there where they became Vietnam vets. And these people are having a terrible time still adjusting to life back home because this was one war that was not popular. And they came home to a lot of disgruntled people and they weren't nice to these vets and they're still struggling with it. So let's remember that. Go back on our YouTube station at Talk 4 TV and listen to that interview about some of the vet stories. But this is a whole generation of people, baby boomers, that were about 19 years old when they went to Vietnam, where the people who went to World War II to protect Europe and the Asian countries that were against the Japanese at that time, uh, they're struggling, but they were 26 at an average age to go in, and most of them volunteered. Our Army for Vietnam were a lot of people that were drafted and did not want to go and did not believe in the war. So that's a whole nother thing we're dealing with in our generation. And then, of course, we've had our children. I could be wrong, but I think it's referred to as Gen X. I get all these things mixed up. I should write them down. That would be our kids' generation. And because at the end of our 20s and 30s, this is when rock and roll and drugs came in and sex everywhere. This has impacted how we are aging also. We still have people that think rock and roll and drugs are okay, but I'm here to tell you that a lot of people struggle with it. Now, I'm not here to criticize anybody, but this is what this generation, our generation, is dealing with all these different people. And then our kids have had children, and these are millennials. Some of them are younger than that. Millennials, I think, are in their late 20s, early 30s. I get the dates mixed up. I'm sorry about that. I think the millennial generation is really the most feeling of entitlement that has been in a generation. And I really feel that's too bad. And I think it's part of the baby boomers' fault and our children who have had children, our grandchildren. that they feel so entitled. And that's bad. So all of this adds to your stress in life as you're growing older. And then where do you find the boundaries with your adult children? They're probably looking at you like, well, I'm going to have to take care of my kids, probably their grandkids. They're looking at us and saying, now I have to take care of my parents too. Well, I grew up in a household that I was raised by my grandma and my great grandma. And it was different. And I always wondered why I had to go to school and say, I don't have a mommy on Mother's Day. I have a grandma. And when I would go on summer vacation, I had a mother in Indiana that I would go visit, and she was a polio victim, and she had to go home and be taken care of by her grandma. So I do have two grandparents, my great grandma and my grandma, that lived over 100 years, and their mental acuity was just fine. So we, as baby boomers from 50 on up, are dealing with a lot of different generations that all need different kinds of care. And of course, we need care too. We need love and companionship and good friends and doing crazy dances once in a while. And that's what keeps us young. So, one of the things that's happening right now with our country is a terrible case of inflation. You know, the stock market just keeps dropping and then it recovers a little bit and then it drops some more. So, whatever you had put away, maybe this is really impacting you. So, I want to speak a little bit about inflation. And in this new program that I'm going to be doing, a Golden Years Turn to Golden Fears, uh, I talk about all these different subjects and what you can do to help yourself through them, what you can do to maybe realize your dreams of something you never did before because you were raising kids or you were working a 9 to 5 corporate job, which always ends up being many more hours, taking care of husbands, taking care of grandkids, whatever, maybe you have dreams that now you could fulfill them. So I'm going to be talking about all of them, but let's just touch on inflation for a little bit here. Inflation is rampant in our country, and many of us, me included, think we are in a recession. Now, if you're my age, we've lived through a couple inflation periods and recession periods. And here we are. We may not be as well off as we used to be, or we may be better because many times millionaires are made during inflation and recession periods. So, whatever your dream is, we're going to try to help you fulfill it and fulfill that of your close loved ones and your friends too. What I want to tell you about inflation is if you're really struggling and you don't have a job, there are a lot of side hustles. That's what we call them, side hustles out there. That maybe you have a job at Starbucks or McDonald's, but it's not quite cutting it. You can't get unemployment because you weren't employed before and your circumstances have changed. Maybe you're on Social Security and it's just not cutting it to pay your expenses now because gas is so expensive and food is so expensive. So there are side hustles out there, but a word of caution to you. There's a lot of things, and this generation likes Facebook. Many of us have, as a sidebar here, many of us have reconnected with friends from high school and college, which is really fun on Facebook. So that's, to me, pretty much the only redeeming quality of Facebook. But you do connect with people like that, and it's really fun. And we just had a birthday party for all of us from our class of 65 at Gardena High School. So anyway, what I want to say is there are some side hustles. And if you're on Facebook and you see some of these reels, reels, or stories about people making $100,000 in the first year, becoming a millionaire in 3 months. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And don't get yourself hooked on something that is not going to be legitimate. Do some explorations, and believe me, I did a show on this with a wonderful lady who did a reel, and I was looking for somebody legitimate to interview and kind of explain what these are. And basically, they're like multi-level lines. So that would be a Mary Kay, something like that, that everybody knows. But these new companies, there are many legitimate ones out there. I don't think you're going to be making $1 million in your first year, but you could check them out. There are also sites where you could sign up to be a copywriter or a proofreader, or maybe you're good at the computer, the internet, and maybe you have always wanted to design things. So you could go in and you could do a design for a simple website. Check them out because there are a lot of side hustles that you could do. It's pretty hard to go find a job in a restaurant that is a traditional restaurant. We've had 2 cut out their lunchtime hours now because there's just not enough business for people to be working there. So they've extended their dinner hours a little bit and they no longer have lunch. So it's a little difficult to get a great job in a restaurant now, but there are some out there. So you could look for that. Now, what I want to say is there's a way I just mentioned a few minutes ago how to cut back on your gasoline consumption by carpooling to school, carpooling to your job, just cutting back on your driving. Maybe if the girls are getting together for dinner, you could carpool to that instead of everybody taking their own separate car, and that would help. But what I want to talk about is the grocery store bill. Groceries are up. I saw butter was up over 40%. We eat butter in this house. We use olive oil most of the time, but there's nothing like a nice English muffin when you're craving carbs than having real butter on it. And I like to bake biscuits, so I need butter on my biscuits too. But I won't eat margarine because it's a petroleum product. So butter to me is healthier if you're getting good non-GMO butter. But it's gone up 40%. Eggs have gone up 19%. Now, I'm talking about some of the figures you see on the news, but I'm also telling you about what's going on in my area of Southern California. Milk has gone up. All dairy products have gone up. Of course, if you like to eat beef, chicken, poultry of any sort, it's skyrocketed. And fresh vegetables have skyrocketed. So you need to find a replacement for protein, maybe a couple times a week, 3 times a week. There's nothing like making your own homemade soup. Black bean tortilla soup would be a good alternate to have for your beef, and it certainly is a lot less expensive. Try eating these things. They're good. They're good for you. We eat far too much fat in this country. But you need your vegetables and your fruits, and those are hard to get because the prices on those have all gone up also, and there's becoming a shortage of them besides that. So what I want to suggest to you is go to the frozen food section, and if you have a family, buy the large bags of frozen fruits or vegetables, a big bag of cauliflower or broccoli, something like that that will have a lot of nutrients in it. They're flash frozen these days. They're not like they used to be in the 50s and the 60s when frozen foods first came out. These are good flash frozen, nutrient high frozen vegetables. And let me tell you, you can get a serving for a family of 4 to 6 or 6 servings out of a big, large bag of broccoli, a lot less expensive than buying a head of broccoli. So there are ways to cut back. You should be eating, well, you should have these in your house anyway, some canned things, some good canned soups that will stretch out your budget. There's nothing wrong with eating them. Read the labels if you don't have time to make your own. Kids love things with cheese in it, but cheese has gone up too, so you need to be very picky about your cheese, how it's made, and what the price is. If you think you need a new car right now during this recession, I want you to think about it again. Did you just pay off your car, or were you able to pay cash for your car when you bought it? Don't get yourself into new car payments. You can't afford it now. Car prices have skyrocketed. I'm against leasing a car because you don't have any equity in it. And even though it loses all the value once you drive it off the lot, at least you have something that you can put on your next car. But it's not the time to buy a car. Think what you could do with that extra money if you paid that car off. My gosh, you could put it in a savings account, your retirement account. You could pay off some of your credit cards that I understand so many people in the United States now are living on their credit cards, and the interest rate is above 20 for most of them because they don't have jobs and they're living on credit cards, and their interest is skyrocketing. If you don't have a car payment and you're able to pay that off, don't trade your car in for a new one. You don't need a new fancy car. And don't buy a new car anyway if your car is just falling apart and you have to do it. Buy a certified used car. Keep your payment down. Do you know the average person buying a new car now is financing it for 7 years? And most of the payments with the interest rates now, not every car dealer is giving you a low interest rate. Some people are paying $700 a month for a big fancy SUV with all the whistles and bells on it and the video movie channel in the back seat, because when they drive their kids up to school in the carpool, they want everybody to see their new fancy vehicle. Well, you know what? You need to put food on the table, and maybe that payment could go towards your food, or maybe it could go into your retirement account, or how about your emergency fund because you need it now? All right. So I believe that the things you should pay for first in your life during this really bad time, if you're in financial distress, first of all, see if somebody can help you, an angel, a family member that's doing better than you right now, anybody, see if they can help you put food on your table. But if you still have some money coming in and you're not in dire straits, which you need to go to a mission or someplace that will help you. But if you're not in that dire straits, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pay for your shelter first, because you don't want to lose your home for non-payment and have them foreclose on you. You don't want to do that. You don't want to put your kids in the car and have to live in your car. You don't want to be evicted from your apartment and have them lock up all your furniture, all of your goods, all of your clothes, and live in your car. You don't want to do that. So somehow you go do that side hustle, whatever you have to do to keep your shelter, and then the food to keep you healthy, and the utilities to keep your electricity and your gas on so that you have heat in the winter and light for your kids to do their homework by. You could cut out the cable, you could cut out the internet, but those are your lifelines sometimes now. Sometimes that the only way you can get Wi-Fi would be on your cell phone or at a hotspot. And I truly believe you need your phone. You need your phone. So that's part of your utilities that you have to pay for. Whether you have a landline or you have a cell phone, don't get rid of those. And for those of you who don't, I don't know how you live without them in this day and age. But I would think in some of these places, in apartments where people are living, you could have maybe a community phone for emergencies, and you could all give a little money in so you could keep the phone working and perhaps even Wi-Fi at somebody's house. Let's get everybody connected to telephones and the internet in this country. There's poor countries all over the world that have these things. And one of the people doing the most work to get everybody connected in the world is Elon Musk. He's really helping people. He's really working hard right now he's working hard in Russia and China and the Ukraine. I don't think he's working in China. I think that's erroneous information. But anyway, he's really helping with that. So that's what I'm giving you for an idea. I already told you to try to keep your car because that's how you get to work. So you need that. And then when things are a little better, you start paying more on your credit card debt that you've had to run up during these lean times because you want to get rid of those high interest cards and try as hard as you can not to run them up because that's more money you could be putting in an emergency fund or something in a retirement account, something like that. And ladies, you don't need to go out and get the latest fashion. You know where a lot of people are buying their latest fashion now? Amazon. Check it out. You can get that new job you just got and you think you have to have something professional looking and every day you need to look new and refreshed at least once every 2 weeks. Go to the Amazon site for fashion. I'm telling you, $39 for a dress. Who could beat that? And believe me, I've done it. I've done it. I took them on vacation with me. One dress. So I want you also to cut back on your expenses and get back to nature. Cut out the gym. Get off that treadmill. Go out and take a walk, whether you live in a neighborhood or you live in an apartment complex or you're working all day and you don't have time. Take that lunch hour and take a protein bar with you or whatever. Don't even eat lunch. Do some fasting and walk around. That's what you need. You need nature. You need the sky. You need the sun shining on you, which will help your depression and your stress with all of that vitamin D coming. And you'll be a happier person. You might even drop some pounds, but you'll improve your lungs and you'll improve your attitude. So that's about all I have to tell you. I want you to go out and mingle. That's it, mingle. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, have the girls come over for a cup of coffee. See what you can do to help your other people. If you go out and do acts of kindness, you're going to be a much happier person. So these are my random thoughts now for what I'm going to be putting on my new website, goldenfears.com, but it's in the process of being built, so don't go there now. But that's what we'll be talking about, and we'll be talking about how if you want to start something that you've been passionate about for a long time, we'll help you do that too. Thanks for tuning in today. Remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. Bye-bye.